What's happening, guys? We are back with another 0 hour, and it is a preview day for the second show in 2 weeks. We got Aries 11 going down this weekend, Saturday night, August the 20th. Cam Jordan Arena down in Chattanooga, Tennessee. Tim Lloyd joined by Jeff Hobbs, Houston Robertson, Dylan McCarthy, gentlemen, fresh off the heels of a badass Aries Amp show. So, it's hard to follow that, there's no doubt. This puts these cats in Chattanooga and with some big shoes to fill. But, I'm thinking a lot of these guys might have caught this show and kind of take it as a little kick in the pants, like, hey, man, we got to bring it this weekend because that was a big act to follow for sure. Jeff, how we hanging in there, my man? We've got our second show in 2 weeks. I know we're running on fumes, but we get through this and we get a whole month off.
That is correct, and that's what I keep telling myself. It's all we got to do is get through this weekend, and then we get a little bit of a breather, a little bit of a break, some family time, more than anything. So, but that being said, man, let's not. I don't want it to sound like I'm down on this show. I'm ready to rock and roll, and get back to Camp Jordan and see everybody and see the guys, and knock another one out of the park. I hope.
Houston back in the commentary seat this weekend. I'll be leaning on you for a lot of info, a lot of Agogi representatives on this card, so I know that's always exciting for you.
Yeah, very, and I feel the kind of same way from you guys. I feel like I'm still coming down a little bit from last weekend, just all the buzz, all the excitement, and wow. I think this one's going to follow up pretty exciting as well, and yeah, I got a lot of folks making their debut, but I think a lot of the folks from Agogi making that debut, I think it's going to surprise people that it's a debut match or fight. So,
Dylan, rounding out the panel here, you'll also be back in the commentary seat this weekend. Got to experience a little different side of the action at AMP, though, and you shine with bright colors, my man. Hopefully, you enjoyed the kind of getting on the opposite side of the field for a show.
Yeah, tell you what, it's a lot different. You really get a chance to see how the sausage is made. It was an honor to be sitting cage side with Tim, Jeff, Houston. I think we all probably have got a little hangover from Nashville, but a trip to the scenic city here with a full fight card. I think it's going to be another great weekend. So going through this, yeah, Houston, you're going to be on the spot here with all these Agogi debuts, man. I hope you're ready to give up some info nuggets here.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and this is an incredible lineup. A lot of really strong female cards, so I'm really looking forward to this.
Yeah, I'll say this is the most females we've had on a card yet. So that's kind of one bright spot to this card that kind of stands out as so many good female fighters. So let's dive into it, guys. Again, this is going down Camp Jordan Arena this Saturday night. You can catch the pay-per-view for this one on combatcast.tv. And then, of course, the tickets, as always, at fighterchicks.com. VIP's about sold out though, so you better get your GA while you can. We're excited. We've got a good, gonna have a good VIP section. Looks like early. Let's jump into it, guys. Jumping things off. Of course, we've got our youth card. We ended up with a lot of females and a lot of kids on this one. Kicking things off at 6 o'clock. We've got a juniors grappling bout between a couple 50-pounders, some little bitties. 1 5-minute round here. It's going to be Manny Salazar taking on Jonas Bacon. Manny Salazar out of Hyastand down in Dalton. Of course, Jonas Bacon there at Agogi Combatives. Houston, I'll go to you here. I can't recall little Jonas, but I do recall that Manny did a bout on one of the Hydra Cup shows, and I remember he was an exciting little guy. So these are some of the younger ones that you'll see kicking off the card. I'm sure they're excited.
Yeah. I mean, Jonas, I don't know too well, but folks, some of the other folks that are even on this card, like Angel, any of the kids that are coming out of our gym that are training with Angel or Ryder, any of those guys are going to be tough. And you know how it goes. We try to make sure they're ready before they get in there. So they'll be ready.
Also, you mentioned there, Ryder and Angel originally booked to have a tag team bout here. Their kids fell out this week, so it's been
That's
a
right.
task trying to fill that. Still working on it, and possibly break those up into singles bouts if it comes to it. That's the more likely outcome. So hang tight, guys. We're doing our best. Then we've got two modified MMA bouts, junior bouts. We got at 140 pounds, Aaron Selfers taking on Austin Fritz. Selfers making his second go at it, also out of that highest stated gym. 0-1 comes in. Austin Fritz out of that Hobbs Jackson Wink gym over in North Carolina. Now, Selfers got his experience. The last time we were in Chattanooga, he actually lost a decision to Audie Baker, but I thought that was like super close. Kind of even leaned Selfers' way personally. But he definitely liked the grappling and the striking. Seemed fairly well-rounded. Austin Fritz has gotten his experience at the Gamma Youth Tournament. And I don't have his record down here right away. I feel like he's like 1-0 or 2-0 or 1-1, something like that. It was all came in a day there. So excited for that one. Then, of course, Audie Baker out of Maryville BJJ makes his second return here to the Aries cage with a win over the aforementioned Aaron Selfers. He'll be taking on Sawyer Gilbert here out of Gogi Combatives, who went 2-0 at the Gamma event. So now we've got it's interesting. We're starting to get like some records on these youth that have, it's not going to be the first time in there for any of these kids. All four of these guys have gotten some youth experience, which is cool. There's like no one's going to be starstruck out there. They've all competed at this point. Jeff, your take here just on both of these. Really, we'll just kind of mesh them up here together. But it's interesting just to see the juniors MMA beginning to have a little bit more than just, hey, we'll find out when we see them. We're actually getting to see these guys more than once.
Yeah, and what stands out to me most about these is these gyms that they're coming from, that are being represented here. Highest Stand, Hobbs, Jackson Wink, Gogi, even like you said, Maryville BJJ with Audie Baker making his return a second time. So, it's just showing you how these gyms are growing and how younger and younger that they're starting in these gyms. And for kids like, Selfers and Sawyer Gilbert, Austin Fritz, I mean, getting to see, we know the people that come from their gyms, and these kids are getting to see what they're doing and what they go through. And it's got to be just a vast amount of knowledge that's coming into these kids at such a young age. And, a Sawyer Gilbert sitting at a Gogi, probably seeing Trevor Peak train every day and then getting to see the fruits of his labors. So these kids are going after it. That's what they want to be. This is what they want to do. And you're starting to really see it with their skill level when they're coming into the cage and getting to compete. It's amazing what these kids are doing. And, this is a fun part of the show. And just like youth sports anywhere, whether it be baseball, football, basketball, their parents are getting so into this as well. And you would be absolutely amazed at the crowd support and the pops that are coming from our crowd for these kids. And it's great to see, man. I can't wait.
And, a little shout out to our guy, Justin Brown with Gamma. This is coming on the right on the forefront, I guess you would say, of tournament he's hosting, which is for the national youth Gamma tournament in Nashville in November. And that's where they're going to be making like a Team USA. So some of these kids you may see making that trip up to Nashville in November, trying to earn a spot on Team USA, getting some reps in, getting some experience here this weekend. All right, moving on to the undercard portion of our card. We've got tag team grappling. Got to have at least one tag team grappling. This time it's some big dudes. Like, we'll probably have like the most weight we've had in the cage at one time, I'm guessing.
Yeah, we need to double check the weight right before they.
Yeah, this one's going to be probably a record. I'm guessing I've just got listed as heavyweight. We never even discussed like a limit, to tell you the truth. I don't think anybody's cutting nothing for this.
No.
It's going to be Travis Gregoire and Lee Polk. Originally, it was supposed to be Shelby Hill and Travis Gregoire. Hill fell out, so Lee Polk steps in. That's a blast from the past. Lee out of Cleveland used to compete around on the scene back in the day. It's been a while though. And then of course Travis Gregoire, Blackie Chan down there from Alabama. We've seen him fight several times up this way. He's got a win over Chad Finnerty, I recall, in Nashville. Anyway, they're going to be teaming up to take on the Agogi duo of Torres Finney and Tyler Toon. That's two big, strong old dudes. And you know what? I told this team to Travis Gregoire, he's like, that sounds like fun. So not many guys say that sounds like fun. So I like his attitude, if anything, because Toon and Finney are two imposing dudes out there that I know that Torres has been watching these tag team bouts and probably is going to have a pretty good strategy. We saw a good tag team bout in Amped this past weekend where they're getting, every time they get better and better. So I'm expecting these guys to put on a show and have a bit of strategy to them. Dylan, I'll go to you. Your take on this one. You've seen the tag team since we've begun to get them out there. I know it'll be exciting to see Torres, out there in his tag team debut. He's always a pro wrestling fan at heart anyway.
Yeah, I'm glad you threw to me on this one. Actually, you know me, I'm always moving and shaking here in Chattanooga. I've got my tentacles in several different worlds. And somebody reached out to me, actually, an acquaintance I made. They know I work here with Aries, and they actually go and do powerlifting at the same gym that I guess Tyler Toon goes to.
Oh, okay.
And around the gym, Tyler Toon is like he's the man. This guy's throwing weights around. He's a beast. I've basically been told that he can rip phone books in half, bend frying pans. He's a man of great strength. So that might be a little hyperbolic, but what I'm saying is the guy's just a monster. So you pair him with the Punisher, right? And it's grappling based. He doesn't have to worry about strikes coming back at him. I mean, if Finney's got the strategy, Toon brings this raw deadlifting power. I know I'm kind of short selling the Poke and Gregoire side a little bit here, but that's just because I don't know them as well. Full disclosure, but it sounds like it's going to be a pretty beefy affair. I can't wait. I'll always be stressed out when we get this many bodies in the cage. I know you guys get stressed out too. Hopefully everything holds up and we can just see some good action. But yeah, the tag teams are very exciting. And Finney and Toon, as the tag teams start to evolve, my God, who's going to want to face those two?
Houston, you got to take on this one.
Well, just two little quick points that maybe people don't know. Toon was an incredible wrestler through high school, and I think he wrestled a little bit through college, but obviously was always on top, wrestled out of Saudi area. Now I could be wrong about that, maybe Udawa, but up in that area. And the other thing that people maybe haven't noticed about Finney is that his arm span is way longer than it should be. So he's going to be able to get these tags like clear the way through the other side of the ring. So just kind of two things to look for. But I think Toon's technical ability is probably a little bit more than people are giving credit for. He is incredibly strong. He's incredibly athletic, but his just knowledge for grappling is so good. He's just an intelligent wrestler, and his jiu-jitsu has gotten really, really good over the past just short time that he's been training. So yeah, I'm really putting a star on this one. I'm really looking forward to this one.
Another one a lot of people looking forward to up next, and that is going to be the grappling debut of Miss Karma RX, representing Agogi Combative. She'll be taking on professional MMA fighter Hannah Ellswick. Hannah representing Jeff Lewis's No Excuses Boxing, now in Sevierville, Tennessee. She just moved down this neck of the woods here recently from Virginia. And so this one's interesting. Obviously Karma training with a bunch of killers there at Agogi. She's going to be prepared. She's going to be ready. I'll be curious to see, do the nerves get to her at all? This will be, kind of the first time walking out there competing in front of a crowd. Hannah does have the experience factor as far as having, been out there and competed several times. So you got to figure, the technical side, the training, the preparation probably favors Karma here. But then the intangibles kind of evens the playing field, I think, with Hannah. I'm going to go to a couple of us here. Jeff, your take here. This is one that has got a lot of attention. Obviously, Miss Karma has a legion of followers in social media land. So obviously some attention there. And props to her for kind of putting it on the line here and going out there and testing the waters in the unknown.
Yeah, I learned a valuable lesson yesterday, and that was silence your phone if Karma RX tags you in anything on social media, because the notifications 2.2 million followers and 14,000 likes can wreak havoc on your phone during a work day. But I'm real excited about this one as well, and not for the reasons that probably a lot of gentlemen are excited about this one, but I'm more interested in just again Karma training at Agoge and being around those people. And when you hear kind of the story from the coaches at Agoge, how she just really took to the team atmosphere and being a part of something like that and being a part of a team. And literally said she trains harder than so many people at that gym, and she gives it so much and so much of her attention that it was amazing to everybody. And I think, being so excited about being a part of a group of competitors just really made her want to do that as well and be, truly be part of the team and compete as well. So, hats off to her again. When you say you want to do this and I'll compete, I'll do something. And then you say, okay, here's Hannah Ellswick, a professional fighter. It's got to be a little nerve wracking, but she didn't balk at it. She said, let's run it. Let's go. Wow. Hannah, again, salty vet, been in the cage. Like you said, Tim, there's not going to be any nerves with Hannah Ellswick. This is just another day at the office. But this is going to be real interesting. I'm proud to be a part of watching this happen. I'm proud of Karma for, stepping in there. Proud of Hannah for not being turned off by thinking this is a publicity type thing or something and jumping in there to compete. So it's going to be real interesting. I can't wait to see it.
Houston, you're there at Agoge. You can tell Karma is in phenomenal condition. You can tell she's got some guns. She's flexing. She's she's going to come conditioned. What's the vibe there? Has everybody got confidence here? Karma's going to go out there and represent Agoge well.
Yeah, I've never actually had the chance to train with Karma, but I've heard from a lot of people she's super scrappy. And I've heard that from very scrappy people, so that has to mean something. Mm-hmm. And Garrett's going to be cornering her. So I think when you have Garrett Gross in your corner and kind of in your ear all the time, I think you're in good shape. I'm looking forward to it.
He's going to get you fired up, I have a feeling.
Yeah.
That could be interesting alone.
Yeah, Garrett's going to get you fired up. All right, moving on to the kickboxing portion of the card. We've got bantamweight action, 135 pounds. And he's got David West making his third trip to the Aries cage. He's been fighting quite often with us here. 1-1, he comes in to take on the debuting Brian Truong out of Striker Fight Center in Kennesaw. So David West representing Black Eye Muay Thai. We've got two Georgia boys throwing down here. Truong there with, he's got two teammates on the card, both debuting. But we know those Striker Fight Center guys always bring it. Their teammate, Carrington Johnson, put on a great display at Amped. So there's some momentum coming in for this new blood from Striker Fight Center. And then, of course, David West. We've seen David West in the cage now a couple times. He lost a split decision last time out to Luis Gonzalez. Before that, he had a I want to say a second round TKO win over an NKI guy. Dylan, we'll go to you here. What's your take here? David West has shown a lot of technical ability in both of his fights. And I have no doubt that Truong will be well prepared coming out of Striker.
Yeah, I love to see it. We had one tie bout on the Amped card, and Aries is always featuring some great tie action, and I think this is going to be right in that category. Truong's probably going to want to come out and, like you said there, keep his gym's momentum going. David West, I've recently caught up with on social media, just kind of checking out what he's up to. And the man's on the grind all the time. He is a student of the Muay Thai game to the nth degree. Picked up a big win his first time out. His last bout got off to a great start. He came out with some power early, and then I think just got a little out-volumed. But being young and being as enthusiastic about this art that he really has dedicated himself to, he's going to make improvements each time out. So this one has the makings of something that's going to be a very spirited contest. And how However it turns out, I'm sure the fans are going to be entertained. This will be right after the grappling portion is kind of wrapping up, and I'm sure these guys are going to come out, throw some leather, and get the people standing up out of their seats. So that'll be exciting.
Up next, lightweight Muay Thai at 155 pounds. It'll be the debuting Javante Miles Trowell, JMT for short, out of Huntsville, Alabama. Now, he's going to be taking on Aiden Howell, also debuting out of Agogi Combatives. Now, this was interesting because JMT, while he is a debut in Muay Thai, has fought several times in MMA to varying degrees of success. And so he does have the experience advantage over Aiden Howell when it comes to total fighting experience, just not under this discipline. But then that's kind of counterbalanced by the fact that this fight's at 155 and JMT has made 125, 135. So he's just walking at 155. There should be pretty good size advantage for Aiden Howell to come make up for that MMA experience of JMT. I'll go to you on this one, Houston. Any insight on Aiden Howell? I know he's a guy that we had booked in the past to make his debut and ended up getting some kind of man, I don't quote me on it, but it felt like he got some kind of really gnarly infection of some kind, and it took him out. And he's just now back to it.
Yeah, I think I do remember that. I don't know Aiden too well. I've heard quite a bit about him. Larry specs him well, and if he's training with Larry, and Larry's not going to let anyone just kind of get in there and act like a scrub. So I'm excited to see him. I'm excited to see what he's got. Another guy from our gym kind of making that debut and hopefully putting a stamp on the night.
A rare kickboxing showing from Agogi here.
Yeah, it really is.
We don't see a whole lot of that. All right, rounding out the kickboxing portion of the card, Jeff, we'll go to you on this one. Not a whole lot that we can go off of. Hannah Ross takes on Asia Pak, and they're both debuts. Hannah Ross coming out of the MMA Institute at Harrisonburg, Virginia. They always come ready. And then, of course, Asia Pak out of Stryker Fight Center in Kennesaw, Georgia. Another debuting fighter out of there. Both these ladies seem very eager, though. I know that Hannah does have some MMA. She's 1-0 MMA and 1-0 boxing. This will be her first time doing Thai boxing. Hard to have much of a read here, but it is exciting to have two more ladies on the card from two respectable gyms, and always looking to build that female roster.
Yeah, that's the story for this one. When you don't have a lot to go on, is you kind of look at the gyms. And like you said, two very respectable gyms here. Excuse me. Stryker Fight Center. We definitely, like you said, we just saw a great showing from Stryker Fight Center at Ampton with Carrington Johnson. Looks like they're well represented on this card. Hopefully in this weight class, we're going to be able to really kind of maybe after these debuts happen, really start getting some depth in these divisions here with these women. That's the exciting thing about having this many female fights on the card is really kind of looking towards the future and building up that female roster to really start including them more and more in every card. But you got to start somewhere with these debuts, and hopefully we find some diamonds in the rough here with these debuts.
Moving on to the MMA portion of the card, we've got a catchweight 140 pounds as Alex Dees takes on Mario Umana. Alex Dees 0-1, independently fighting out of Cleveland. We saw him make his debut, I believe, at Aries 10 at the Joe. It was quite a tumultuous weekend. We told the story. Alex's car broke down on his way to the Joe. I had to go pick him up about 40 minutes out on the side of the interstate with his girl. Brought him back, put him in the hotel room, got him weighed in. Next day, he kind of was just hanging out at the venue all day, kind of displaced. And, his car is sitting over on the interstate. He's going to have to fight. And props to him, man. He saw the shit through because a lot of guys would have pulled for much less than this. Didn't have a great showing in his debut, though, as Xavier Lundy was able to get him out of there in the first round. I think he was a little shell-shocked that Lundy tried to take him down because he is a wrestler. He wrestled, I want to say he wrestled at Bradley. Don't hold me to that. I'm pretty sure he wrestled in Cleveland somewhere. I believe at Bradley. So he does have high school wrestling background. Looking to have a better showing coming down this time, fighting at 140. That last time was at 145. He'll be taking on the debuting Umana. Not a lot of information on this guy. Of course, representing Stryker Fight Center, though, the third of three debuting fighters. I'm sure that he'll be amped up to follow good showings by his teammates here. Let's see. We'll go to Dylan here. Dylan D's making his return not long after his debut. So props to him for getting right back to it, coming off of a loss.
Yeah, I listened to, I believe it was the recap that you guys did where you kind of disclosed some of what fight week was like for Alex Dees his last time out there at the Joe. And that's terrible. I mean, to have to play, your car's broken down on the interstate, you got to travel, you have to get in the ring and deal with somebody trying to kick your ass and come out on top of it. Definitely showed a lot of grit, and for as bad as that experience was, this can't go any worse. I mean, it's got to go up from here, right? First and foremost, I hope he's got his affairs squared away and he can just focus on the fight. We can see the best version of him. But it's awesome that he kind of lived up to his commitment and was professional and kind of kept things in a good working state with the promotion here, because look, right here, quick turnaround, get the bad taste out of your mouth, get some good stuff on film for yourself. Xavier Lundy was kind of just a house of fire, if I'm remembering correctly there at the Joe. And sometimes in this sport that happens, right? It's not your night. You've got issues outside the ring. It isn't the best version. You don't implement your game plan. Not that it's excuses. That's humanity. That's just the human condition. Sometimes we're not our best, but I got to believe Alex Dees is going to want to come in here. And Mario Umana can make a great first impression as well. I think Houston and I have been on the call for a couple of these where a guy that we really don't have much of an idea of what we're about to see comes in and just blows the doors off it. We've seen it time and time again. So, yeah, I mean, to kick off the MMA side of things, I'm happy to see Alex Dees back. I wish him the best of luck, and I'm just hoping for a great fight.
Up next, Cruiserweights, 225 pounds, as we got two debuts. Again, not a whole lot to go off of. Preston Harcourt makes his debut independently out of Lenore City, referred to me by our man Pooh, the Black Cowboy at the Cotton Eye Joe, so it's kind of like a second degree of separation there. He'll be taking on Sherman Washington, also debuting out of Powell's MMA in Huntsville, Alabama, teammate of Jonathan Rivers, who we just saw this past weekend. Jeff, I'll go to you here. Not a lot to go off of, but it's interesting to see a second representative of Powell's MMA out right here the very next week. Not in there with the blue chipper like the first guy was, so I'm expecting to be able to see a little bit more out of him this time.
Yeah, that's the interest factor here, is to kind of see, like you said, the first representative from the gym that we got to see, was in there against a buzzsaw, and so it's going to be interesting things if they kind of settle down in this one to kind of see what that Powell's MMA crew can do. Traditionally a taekwondo gym, isn't it? Or their coach is a taekwondo
more traditional
right.
martial arts, based in.
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting to see, some of that in action. I like this cruiserweight division. I didn't think it as a professional fighter. Not me as a professional fighter, but in the professional ranks, I'm not a fan of the cruiserweight division. But in the amateur ranks, I'm really starting to like it because it is that kind of in between for those guys that aren't 265 and high 250s, but just haven't quite figured out maybe a weight cut. But as they continue on in their amateur career, maybe start whittling their way down to the 205. So it is a really nice in between state right here for young guys. So Pooh. How in the hell does Pooh know somebody from Lenore City?
I have no idea.
Lenore City's right next to Knoxville, though.
Yeah, it's not that far.
Yeah, it's that little exit right next to it.
Pooh's a real good example of a cruiserweight, of a guy that would benefit from a cruiserweight division.
Right. It's probably somebody he's thrown out of the bar and maybe just had a little rough time with. I don't know. But, yeah, there's not a lot to go on here. I love seeing, though, for all intent and purposes, these are still big boys, man, at 225. So hopefully this is where the leather's really going to start popping in the night.
I'm betting somebody gets knocked out.
Yeah.
I'd say so. All right, moving on. We've got a lightweight contest. We'll go to Houston on this one. 155 pounds. It's the debuting Austin Rich out of DC Combat, Murphy, North Carolina, taking on Isaiah Parker. At one point today, I did put Elijah Parker because I must make that mistake every time possible. But Isaiah Parker, 1-0 out of Agoge Combatives, Chattanooga, Tennessee. We saw a nice debut from Isaiah back, I want to say, at Aries. Yeah, man, was it 9, 8, something like that? He looked, he looked really good out there against Hunter Anderson, and got the submission in the first round. Now he'll take on Austin Rich. Not a whole lot to go off of with Austin Rich, but he is a fighter out of DC Combat with Dustin Garrett, who we are familiar with. And those guys, for the most part, come in and they like to grapple. They like to do kind of like that catch wrestling, style. And so it'd be interesting. We might get some good scrambles here.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that's kind of maybe the kind of compliment we get from our gym too. Isaiah had a pretty busy weekend. He came off some pretty good wins at IGF grappling tournament this past Saturday. So he's fresh. He's ready to go. Typically, a lot of people don't like to, take a lot of grappling contests or do much during fight camp, but he's not like most people. He's going to do as much as he can, as often as he can. So it's hard for me not to be biased on this one, especially because the same thing. I don't really know anything at all about Austin Rich, but I've known Isaiah for a while and Elijah, both good friends of mine, and I think he's ready. And this one, I'm really, really looking forward to this one.
Up next, we have got a featherweight bout, and it's going to be Breven Sullivan making the move up. Now, we oftentimes we're talking about guys making the drop down in weight class. This will be Breven Sullivan coming up from 135 to 145. He's a growing young man, and I think the weight cut to 35 was, I don't think we ever had a time where it was like, Breven's not going to make weight. Now, he didn't look, just the most chipper, I will say, but he knows his body better than anybody else. He's going to give it a shot here at 145, taking on Julian Mendoza, making his debut out of Brothers MMA, Greenville, North Carolina. Now, Julian, we have seen kickboxing before. He fought to a decision against an NKI fighter on one of the very first Aries cards. Very, very scrappy Latino fighter in the kickboxing. Now we're going to see what he can do in the MMA range, as he will have some size on Breven, quite a bit of length and reach. It'll be interesting to see if he can grapple with Breven, which will be the big challenge. Although Breven fancies himself on being, a striker in as far as what he is, put out there on the mic and whatnot. Some big boasts about his striking. So I'll be interested to see if he'll take advantage of his likely advantage on the ground, or if he'll show off some striking here against a longer, rangier opponent. Breven, again, 3-0 already. So a win here, putting him at 4-0, and he's going to get stepped up in the competition next. Let's go to Dylan here.
Yeah, I'm actually really intrigued by this. So I'm a big Breven Sullivan fan, and I really like the guy's personality. And I know he's a bit of a lightning rod, a bit of a polarizing figure. But I think he gets the fans to come out and see him. Last time he hopped on the mic and he was talking about how he's trying to put a more fan-friendly image forward here. He's coaching the kids now, and that's cool. But when he was at that weight class 135, he's getting on the mic and he's calling out people for titles. And I know he's had a slight layoff here, right? But now you're going against a bigger guy with the ability to sit down on his shots and really test your chin. And all that bravado, all that ego, all of that chutzpah. When you get in there with a guy who can make you pay with a little more power, that's a recipe for a really, really interesting bout. I'm sure Breven's going to have a lot of support, and sometimes that can go both ways. It can lift you up, but you also feel the pressure of having everybody there for you. So it's a home turf situation. That's a double-edged sword. So I'm happy to see him back in the MMA side of things. I know he took a tag team bout a card ago, and that was great and everything. But Breven's the kind of guy, the kind of character I like to see staying active here in Aries Fight Series. So. This is definitely circled on my bout sheet, and I will be watching it very closely, because this is an interesting storyline in my opinion.
Feature bout, we're back to the ladies, as it's a pretty quick turnaround for the Blue-Eyed Devil, Samantha Buttery, 3-1 out of Pettigo submissions in Corbin, Kentucky, coming off of a 5-round war with Mary Rosenbeck just not very long ago. I want to Aries 10, I guess it was. So she'll be taking on the debuting Erin Worrell out of Dayton, Ohio. Jeff, we'll go to you on this one. It's one of those, Samantha was in a battle not long ago. It's certainly, I would say, a positive sign, I suppose, that she wants to get back in there so quickly. It wants to get that loss, out of her mouth, and didn't, kind of lick her wounds and duck off into the shadows for months.
Yeah, I appreciate you giving me my third straight female bout. I love it.
Yeah.
To me, it was a good sign because, a lot of people, they take that first L and you're just not sure how they're going to react to it, how they're going to take to it. Is it something where they're going to just let it kind of get them down in the dumps and start questioning, is this what they want to do? We've seen a lot of people, just gone after their first loss, and never really hear from them again. But Samantha was adamant that she wanted back in. Not a lot to really go off of about with her opponent being a debut.
I know she's a police officer up there in Ohio.
Okay. So she is a badass. Just by trade, she's a badass. But again, I'm just going to touch on because I try to stay off of social media too much, and I was off of it for a while. But some of these fucking assholes up in Kentucky that are making a big deal about a debut against listen, the pool is not that deep out there, guys. So say what you fucking will about it's hard. For one, it's already hard because the pool's not deep. Two, Samantha does have a really good record, so that's going to eliminate a lot of people who want to get in there with somebody that's already had 4 amateur fights. So kiss my ass to all y'all that are bashing Samantha for taking this fight. She didn't ask for a debut. This is what presented itself and who would accept the fight. And at the end of the day, that's what a lot of these guys do. They're not out picking and choosing, all the time like people think they are. They're getting what's available and they're taking what's there because they want to stay active. So, I should have known that it was going to be dudes from Kentucky that had something to say. But I'm excited about this because you want to see, even health-wise, like you said, that was a fucking war that she was in with Mary Rosenbeck. And the pictures post-fight that week later, my son saw me flipping through my Facebook, and saw her face come up, and he's like, "What is that?" I'm like, what happened to that lady that you just, And then I had to tell him, I was like, "That's the girl that was in that fight," because he was at that show, and he's like, "No, she didn't look like that when she was." He thought something happened to her afterwards, like somebody whooped her ass at home or something, Like he was upset, but that being all jokes aside, her body took a lot of punishment in that fight, and for her to quickly just jump right back in. I'm not saying she's not recovered, but it takes a toll on your body, and for her to jump right back in and just try to get that taste out of her mouth, is commendable. But like you said, Erin Worrell debut, not a lot, to go off of. But you telling me she's a police officer? Well, we know what it takes to do that for a living, and we know she's obviously not scared of shit because she wakes up every day and puts her life on the line, going out to protect and serve. So this could actually be a really interesting fight.
And she's not blind to the fact her opponent's got it. She's been following what's going on. Like she's watched these fights. She was completely good with this matchup, knowing she's giving up the experience.
Yeah, well, and no knock on Samantha, but you finally did get some footage of her coming on the short end of the stick right now. So for some females to look at that now, we're saying, well, look, the blueprint's there now. Now I see what was successful against her. Look back at her wins. Okay, we see how she wins fights, and now we see, what worked against her. And maybe Erin Worrell just saw something that she thought that she could take advantage of.
All right, up next we have got our co-main event, and it is going to be a good one here. Is another female bout, and I won't go to you here, Jeff. How's that? It's a catch weight, 110 pounds, as Jazzy Sargent, the Jasmanian Devil, puts her undefeated record 1-0 on the line, representing Agogi Combative. She'll be taking on 2-1 Letitia Kandra out of Moore's MMA, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. This was a tough one for me to match. Jazzy is, not like just the biggest girl by any means, but actually her height has actually played to a little bit of a disadvantage in matching, because oftentimes the coaches in the atomweight division are like, she's built like a short little, like she's jacked up and short, and that's not going to play well against my kind of taller, more frail 105 girl. And so at long last, I got to take her in Letitia Kandra, who had been hitting me up during the COVID times. I recalled she was really struggling to find a fight then. And at that time, I still didn't have any 105-pound girls. Just not, you want to talk about 145 being a shallow talent pool. 105 is even more shallow. And so, I reached back out, was able to get her coach on the line. They were still looking to fight. And so we were able to make it happen here. And she's got a long haul coming down from Pittsburgh into her opponent's home turf, as Jazzy will have a lot of fan support there. But the scale is balanced too, because she's got some more experience. She's 2-1 coming into just 1-0 for Jazzy. So that kind of balances the scales a little bit. Houston, I'll go to you on this one.
Yeah, I think that the scales are maybe balanced a little uneven as far as experience, but Jazzy has had some pretty big grappling tournaments that she's been kind of on the spotlight with. So I think she won't have as many nerves coming into it as some folks might think. But you're right, it's a hard weight. She's really, really strong. Jazzy's tough. She coaches a pretty fair amount at the gym. She's active. She does have a huge, huge fan base here. So her opponent's got a lot to step into, but I think this is going to be a really exciting fight. You got a lot of people really looking forward to this one. I would probably say 30 to 40% of the audience is probably going to be Jazzy friend or family. She's one of those kind of personalities you meet once and you're friends with, and just super, super kind. And then when people see her fight or people see her grapple, the name really comes to it. But she was with Elijah Carlton for quite some time, exclusively training at his gym, and has been training at Agogi for quite some time now with Elijah and alongside everyone else. So her kind of balance of experience is just incredible, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, this is the final of our female bouts on this card, and a fairly good offering of females in it, various weight classes, all of them. So I'm excited to see what comes of this. There are already talks. Whoever comes out of this female bout, it is a shallow pool, and we're probably ready to go ahead and crown our first champion. So whoever comes out of this female bout, the next one, I would imagine we'll have to strap her up. Let's see, rounding it out here, the main event of the evening, title fight, a second defense. Jeff, we gotta love it when we get two defenses out of these guys. It's hard enough to get these guys to defend at one time. But Zane Burton will attempt to become our champion that has defended the most times here, as he takes on Wallace McCoy out of Quest Fitness in Murray, Kentucky. Zane, of course, 4-0, representing Agogi Combatives. Another one that's tough to match. So they're not really lining up to fight Zane at this point. 205, again, not the most stocked division. And when you're a 4-0 Zane Burton, it's a little bit even tougher to match. But, you saw Wallace McCoy up in Clarksville. And you said, hey, there's a guy up here that's, he's pretty put together. And if I'm not mistaken, he had a knockout win maybe that night as well. So, he's going to be coming down into Zane's backyard and trying to upset the apple cart. And, when you've got guys this big, 205 pounds, that are this put together and this strong, there's not a lot of room for error.
Yeah, I remember the night, like it was yesterday. Like I said, I was up there working a show in Clarksville and had you on the text, and was like, okay, there's a 205er here that looks the part. Went in, was able to get a win against the hometown guy, and it was like, okay, there's a little something here now, And originally this fight was going to be on Amped. This was going to be a fight that we saw last weekend. But the more that we started thinking about it, Tim, I think you just said, hey, we're so stacked on the top of this card. there's really no need in, I don't want to say wasting this fight, but putting this fight in on a city that means nothing to either one. Let's just go ahead and carry this over to Chattanooga and let Zane, since he is the first person to, defend his belt this many times, let him do it at home in his hometown. So he's pretty much the Anderson Silva now of Aries Fight Series with his number of title defenses.
Don't tell him that.
Yeah, he's right up there in the Anderson Silva GSP, categories with a number of defenses here. But Zane Burton always puts on the show. I don't even think, like you said, obviously if he wins, if he comes out of this one with a W, he's also a guy that I don't think's in any hurry to go professional yet. He's enjoying everything that he's learning and then his time as an amateur. And I think he's enjoying being a champion and possibly defending his belt a couple of times and really solidifying his spot in this weight class in our region. Like you said, it's not necessarily a deep weight class right now, but I think he wants to make sure that there is no doubt that he is the best amateur 205er in our area. And this is going to be an opportunity for him to prove that. But like I said, I did see Wallace McCoy up close and personal, and the guy is, he's a brick house. He's in pretty good shape. He's thick, muscular, broad shoulders. He's a big guy, and he's strong too. So I think he's going to give Zane everything he wants. Wallace reminded me, even though he won by TKO and he was just really strong, and I don't think he's going to shy away from grappling with Zane Burton. So it could be real interesting to see how this one plays out. I know Wallace hits hard, and really nobody has been able to test Zane's chin. And this might be the opportunity where we see, can Zane, take it as much as he can give it. This may be the time that we see that.
Take it around the horn for final takes, guys. If you got anything on the main event, we'll let you have that, and then also let's round it out with what's your pick for what you're looking forward to the most. What's the fight on this card that is going to have you anticipating it going down? And I'll go to you, Houston, first. Any take on the main event, and then round us off with what you got circled, highlighted on this card.
Yeah, for the main event, it's always funny for me to see Zane fight. I don't know why that is. I think because if you talk to him, he probably won't ever tell you that he fights. He probably will never tell you he's defended his title a bunch of times. And he just likes to be goofy and kind of cut up. So I'm always excited to see how he does. When I see his opponents, I'm like, I wonder how he's going to do against it. It's always surprised me. So really looking forward to seeing him fight. Asked him if he wanted me to throw in any details, and he never got back to me, which is pretty unusual for him. So I will tell you guys a story about Zane. One time he pulled up and he had a catfish that he just caught in his backseat of his car. So, that's Zane. And he's just wild, and he fights like that, and he's very unpredictable, and I love him. So I'm looking forward to that fight, and I hope he defends it more times to come. Two matches I'm really looking forward to. I'm really looking forward to the Tyler Toon, Torres Finney tag team match. I think just want to see if the cage survives after that. Then we are good to go for the rest of the night. So I'm anticipating that. And Jazzy's fight. I really like to see Jazzy compete a lot. She's really scrappy, super, super athletic, and I think the sky's the limit for her. So I'm excited for any opportunity that she has.
Dylan.
Yeah, main event, quick thoughts on it, and I just want to see if Wallace McCoy can give Zane Burton the test that he hasn't had to take yet. I mean, he's in his title win against Tristan, utilized his physicality and his wrestling, and was able to put the man away. And then he fought a very game but a little older competitor in Adam Silvey that he was basically expected. If we're speaking honestly, he was expected, being the younger, probably more athletic fighter, to take care of business. So now he gets in there with a guy who's big and can put you to the test, and I just want to see evolution in Zane Burton's game. And Zane is one of I talked about characters in the promotion, and Zane's a great character. I really love interacting with him. I think he carries himself in a way that he's got a personality. You almost feel like you kind of get to know him a little bit. That makes people want to cheer for him. So it's awesome that that's the main event. I can't wait to see it. Houston, you cheated. You gave us two. They asked us to just pick one. You gave us two. I'm not mad at you though, buddy. It's for me, the fight I'm going to be paying attention to is the Samantha Buttery fight. We just saw at the Joe, Samantha came up on the short side for the first time, and it sounds like this person debuting, Erin Worrell, has no fear. Right? She's paying attention to what's going on. You heard Tim say it. Her camp thinks that they saw something here, that there's a blueprint for how you can get your arm raised when you face Samantha. And I'm sure Samantha, the competitor deep down in her, hates this feeling. She's got to want to bounce back. And she's another great personality here for the company. So that one has my attention. I could cheat and give you three more because I just love the event. I'm excited for it. But that one's got my attention. And this has been a lot of fun, guys.
Jeff, final take.
Yeah, I'm going with the Houston theory. You know, he set the bar, so I'm picking two as well because it's not fair. I'm interested in the Ellswick Karma RX grappling match. I think there's just so much there that's interesting, and I think there's just a really good story on both sides of that on how this thing got put together. And then I have yet to experience the Jazzy Sargent. We'll call it the Jazzy Sargent experience. I've yet to be a part of that. And I know for a fact, again, because I get these handy dandy notifications every time someone sells a ticket. So based on this right here, I'm definitely ready to have the Jazzy Sargent experience because it's going to, obviously by the look of this, be a loud, raucous crowd when her name gets called to the cage. So, for the experience and just the pop, I'm ready for Jazzy Sargent. But for the competitiveness, I'm really interested about this grappling match early in the card.
There you have it, folks. That is our preview for this Saturday's Aries 11. It all goes down at Camp Jordan Arena, Chattanooga, Tennessee. It is going to be a fun one, guys. We've got a pay-per-view at combatcast.tv. You can get your tickets at fightertix.com. And it's loaded. And even after coming off this Nashville show, which is a hard one to go after, you got a Zane Burton title defense. You got Jazzy Sargent making her Aries debut. Samantha Buttery on the quick turnaround back. Breven Sullivan in action. You got Karma and Hannah going at it. You got Torres and Toon in tag team action. Pretty good shit. We'll see you guys there. Until next time, Tim Loy for Jeff Hobbs, Houston Robertson, Bill McCarthy signing out for the 0 Hour. Peace.